Unlike Bradley, Lord Devereux didn't sleep. Neither did Viscount Valegrave. This meant that when either of them needed something, it was typically in the middle of the night, and Bradley was usually asleep.
"Bradley, cease your dreaming. You must wake this instant,"
Lord Devereux shouted. Bradley emerged from deep sleep in a panic. He reached for the lamp on the bedside table to his left, but fumbled around in the darkness. "Oh, Lord Devereux, I keep asking you not to do that. You just scared the crap out of me," Bradley said, finally finding the pull cord for the lamp. Bright light illuminated a corner of the room. Lord Devereux stood beside the nightstand, dressed in his slippers and panda onesie that the circus dragon designed for him.
"Bradley, you must come with me immediately. There has been a development regarding Pandemonium,"
he said, his face solemn beneath his panda hood. "Lord Devereux, it's so hard to take you seriously when you're dressed like that," Bradley replied. Lord Devereux dismissed the idea with a wave of his hand.
"Comfort is paramount in times such as this. I've grown accustomed to the hedonistic tendencies of your species."
Bradley laughed as he climbed out of the bed. "Well, I'm glad to see your sense of humor still intact. Lead the way." Bradley followed Lord Devereux through the halls of his manor until they reached an ornate, locked door. No one was allowed in there, save for Lord Devereux and the Viscount. Beyond was the once sealed entrance to Pandemonium. "Wait a second. You're finally letting me in?" Bradley asked. Lord Devereux nodded as he slid an antique key into the lock.
"Yes, Bradley. The time has come to tell you everything."
Bradley felt a rush of adrenaline as the doors swung open with a loud, echoing groan. A musty smell hit his nostrils, like the smell of old books. He heard the whir of fans and machinery as he stepped inside. His eyes were immediately drawn to a massive towering set of electronics with a laptop placed on a shelf in the middle. "Is that a server?" Lord Devereux nodded.
"Yes, this is the Scriptorum server. Your friend J.M. Gooding delivered it to us so we could have digitized forms of all the entries from your Halls of Pandemonium challenge."
Bradley approached the server. The air in the room got colder as he closed the distance. He could see his breath as he looked down at the laptop's screen. He didn't understand any of the code displayed on it, but he did recognize the cable running away from it. "What's this cable for? It's not a charging cable," Bradley said. Lord Devereux pointed to a gate at the far side of the room. Bradley's eyes followed the cable until it disappeared into a thick, unending blackness beyond its boundary.
"This cable is a tether attached to the Viscount. He has a portable device with him that he has been using to navigate Pandemonium. Through this process, we are able to transmit stories and poems directly to him. In return, he sends prompts back, inspired by the realm."
Bradley nodded. "Huh, this is a really genius setup. Why do I feel like there's a but coming, though?"
"We did not reach our goal for entries during week 1 of your challenge. The Viscount is running out of entries and will need to return before he can complete his mission."
"And what mission is that?" The sound of laughter filled the air. It was coming from the gateway to Pandemonium. Lord Devereux, has anything come out of the gateway since you opened it?" Bradley asked. Lord Devereux shook his head. A group of figures emerged from within the infinite abyss of the gateway. The darkness slid off of them like sludge, revealing several familiar faces, including Finton Marybrook, Arnold, Gollum, not to be confused with Gollum, and the 2 announcers. "Ah, this looks like a job for the muses," Finton said. "What are you all doing here?" Bradley asked, slowly backpedaling toward the door.
"These are not your friends, Bradley,"
Lord Devereux said.
"They merely wear their skin."
"Ugh, don't listen to the crusty old story-eater," Finton said. "It's us, Bradley. We're here for today's prompt. Together, we are your muse. Isn't that wonderful?" Something didn't feel right. His friends and fellow members of the podcast looked generally correct, but the details were wrong. They were twisted reflections of themselves. This doesn't feel right. Oh, wait! Are we? Bradley turned toward a non-existent camera as if to break the fourth wall. Subverting the prompt? No one answered him. The muses continued their approach.
Don't worry, Bradley. We're here to help,
Arnold said, his voice oddly soothing.
Come back to us, precious,
Gollum whispered. We'll take you to him, Bradley, one of the announcers cooed. Yeah, it's all gonna be okay, the other announcer added. Bradley reached the door to the room, his eyes wide and his palms sweating. His knees were weak and his arms were heavy. He felt nauseous, but he didn't want to get vomit on his sweater already. Lord Devereaux, help! They're getting in my head, and now all I can think about are Eminem lyrics, Bradley shouted.
This is unprecedented. I don't know how to proceed,
Lord Devereaux said, panic lacing his voice. Just come with us, Finton said, a smile on his face. You know you can't do this alone. You never could. Your writing simply isn't good enough. Finton laid a hand on Bradley's shoulder. His grip was cold as ice. Bradley knew that touch. The real Finton would never insult me so gently. Lord Devereaux, I think I know what we're dealing with here, Bradley said.
What is it?
Lord Devereaux asked. Bradley's eyes turned toward a fireplace on the far wall of the room. Lord Devereaux had one in nearly every room for reasons unknown. His eyes landed on the cast iron tools beside it. These things aren't muses. This is imposter syndrome, Bradley shouted, sprinting toward the fireplace. Arnold growled.
Now, he figured this out. I told you we should have dressed as harbitzers,
Gollum said. Quiet, all of you! Just get him and take him back through the doorway, Finton shouted. Bradley grabbed the cast iron poker and spun back around. Listen, I may not have been any good at baseball as a kid, but you're all about to find out I've got a mean swing. The poor reflections of his friends all smiled at once, their eyes flooding with swirling blackness. Things aren't looking good for Bradley, one of the announcers said. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna make it out of this one, the other added. Lord Devereaux, just go! Leave me here, Bradley said, gripping the poker tightly.
No, I won't leave you.
Bradley watched in horror as Lord Devereaux slowly lowered the hood of his panda onesie and kicked off his slippers, his jaw unhinged like a snake, dangling low as his teeth glimmered in the light of the Scriptorum server. The claws at the edges of his fingers extended like knives. Bradley had never seen him like this before. It was horrifying. Someone handle the story eater, Finton said. I'll take care of our pesky writer here. Arnold and the two announcers turned back and ran at Lord Devereaux. Finton and Gollum approached Bradley slowly. Gollum tried waving his hands above his head as a distraction. Look at me, he said, his eyes like fish eggs in their massive sockets. Nice try, but that's not gonna work. Bradley felt something heavy hit the side of his head. His vision blurred as he turned toward Finton, who was holding his lute like a club. Finton, I want you to know I'm only going to enjoy this a little bit, Bradley said. Finton cocked his head. What are you talking about? Bradley swung the fireplace poker around, smashing the tip into Finton's cheek. The sharp point cut into his skin. A black ichor sprayed out as Finton unleashed an inhuman screech. Oh, this is leaning way more into horror than I expected, Bradley said, watching Finton wipe the oily slick from his face. That's what happens when you're a pantser, Finton said. Maybe if you put any actual thought into your work, it would turn out better. Bradley clenched his jaw. You know very well that I use outlines sometimes, Bradley yelled, swinging the poker once more. Finton raised his lute, blocking the blow. He pushed Bradley backward, knocking him into the fireplace. A roar filled the air, loud enough to distract even Finton. Bradley looked over to see Arnold biting into Lord Devereaux's arm.
Hey, he tastes like chicken,
Arnold shouted.
Bradley, we need to do something,
Lord Devereaux cried, throwing Arnold off his arm. The hulking man slammed into a far wall and landed in a pile of fractured drywall. you have any ideas, I'm all ears, Bradley said. And just like that, time itself ground to a halt. Everything paused. Bradley looked over to the gateway, surprised he could still move. The portal began to sparkle as a blue light started to escape from within it. It warped and twisted like whatever was coming through was tearing through the laws of physics to step foot into our world. A woman emerged. Her skin was pale like moonlight. Her hair was black, with a multicolored sheen like the surface of oil. Her eyes each held entire galaxies, and her flowing dress sparkled with stars like a night sky. Bradley recognized her immediately. This was the matron of the cosmos, the matriarch of the sprawl, the mother of the exiled ones. To those who knew her true name, she was known only as Zal Ithra. "What are you doing here?" Bradley asked, genuinely terrified. The woman turned to him. Her gaze felt heavy, like time itself was gazing back at him, and eternity rested behind those irises.
It's day 13, dear writer, and I am your muse.
Bradley couldn't wrap his head around it. Part of him refused. How could this be his muse? She was the mother of an entire multiverse he had built over the course of decades. She wasn't real. Was she? Wait, so we're not subverting J.M. Gooding's prompt? Bradley asked, quickly realizing that was the least of his worries.
You always like to say that everything is connected. In this case, you were right. The synaptic sprawl may have begun as a fictional multiverse, but it seems in this case, you were correct.
Zal Ithra said. Wait, Bradley said. So you're saying the Halls of Pandemonium challenge and Pandemonium itself is part of the synaptic sprawl?
Yes, and more importantly, Pandemonium is no mere realm. It is a nightmare within the mind of the beast that rests at the center of the sprawl.
Bradley was starting to put the pieces together. The synaptic sprawl and all its various universes existed within the mind of an eldritch entity known only as the Dreamer. Holy hell, this is big. If the Dreamer wakes up, then... Zal Ithra nodded.
All will be lost.
Bradley felt his legs shaking beneath him. He sat down on the ledge of the fireplace behind him. Zal Ithra approached. I just need a minute, Bradley said. This is a lot to process.
We don't have time,
she said.
Your Viscount friend is in trouble.
Bradley looked up. Man, this is going to make for one hell of an intro on this week's Saved as Draft podcast. Anyway, how can we help him? Zal Ithra didn't acknowledge his shameless plug. Instead, she extended her hand.
You need to come with me. It's time to enter Pandemonium.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 69, nice, of the Saved as Draft podcast. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Will I make the same joke when I inevitably reach episode 420? The answer is yes, because I enjoy any and all forms of humor. With that aside, thank you for being here. We're at the midpoint of the Halls of Pandemonium challenge, and today's episode will not only showcase the top stories from week 2, but we'll get our first look at the author leaderboards as well. This will be your chance to see how you stack up against others in your bracket if you're competing. After today, those leaderboards will become a secret once more until the challenge ends and I announce the final winners in each bracket. That's how we do it, and it's always fun to preserve the mystery. Beyond that, today's episode will also feature a look at some plans I have to accelerate production of my novel, and of course, a preview of the Halls of Pandemonium Week 3, as well as an update on our bonus prompt. Before all that, though, let's take a look at this week's Community Spotlight. This week, I want to shout out Vonnie G. Clemens Jr., who has been an avid supporter of my work and my challenges, but more than that, he's been spearheading an amazing series where he reads community stories to his dog Cooper. That's right, Bedtime with Cooper is just as fun and whimsical as you would expect. Cooper is a very good boy, and the story selections are excellent. Vonnie recently read one of my Devine stories to Cooper, and the other day, he read Ophiocordyceps from Mina Howell as well. It's a really cool concept, and I love Vonnie's narration as well. Not only does it support the community, but it gives us all a dose of concentrated cuteness and fun narration that honestly we need more of in today's world. So I'll include a link to Vonnie's Substack so you can check out his series and his other work. And thank you again to you, Vonnie, for being such a wonderful member of the community. You are loved and appreciated, my friend, and I really appreciate you being here. I also want to take a quick moment to thank everyone for your support after last week's episode, where I was discussing some of the ongoing issues at my house here, and of course the costs associated with them. I'm still navigating that, but we're moving in the right direction, and I gotta say the immediate outpouring of support and donations on my Ko-Fi really helped. So thank you to everyone who jumped over there to pitch in however you could. I just really appreciate it. I'm going to be better about including a link to the Ko-Fi in the show notes and elsewhere with my work, because it's a simple, easy, and honestly really deeply appreciated way if you want to support me in the work that I do here. As many of you know, my dream one day is to build the largest community of writers the world has ever seen and to use our stories to change the world for the better. And of course, I hope my own work will find enough of an audience to eventually allow me to focus on what we're doing here full time. That's the dream, and every little bit helps. So thank you again for all of your support. All right, next up, we'll take a look at the top stories from week 2 of the Halls of Pandemonium Challenge. But first, a word from this week's sponsor. Today's episode of the Saved as Draft podcast is sponsored by the Writer Home Shopping Network. Well, howdy folks. My name's Terry, and you're watching the Writer Home Shopping Network. We're so glad to have you here this evening and to check out some of our deals. Allow me to introduce you to my magnificent co-host, Barry.
Oh, I just love that. Terry and Barry.
Well, we are talking to writers. Barry, we got to appeal to the poets as well. And besides, a little rhyme never hurt anyone.
And speaking of hurting someone, let's take a look at our first offer tonight.
Oh, what a segue, Barry. Are you moonlighting as a writer? Got a pen name I don't know about?
Maybe I do. And with this beautiful red pen, you can too.
That's right. This is the Editor 3.0, a beautiful cherry red ink pen emblazoned with a fun message on the side that says, "Death to typos," in all caps.
Oh, that's serious.
Indeed. And if you want to level up your editing game, you can get your own Editor 3.0 pen for just 3 payments of $6.66. Ooh.
Ooh, scary. I see what they did there.
All right. And let's take a look at our second item. This here is a fun play on words, a decoration for your desk, if you will. I'll give you a hint. This is what happens when you write too much.
Terry, I don't think I get it. It's just a bunch of cars heading into an underground tunnel labeled carpool.
Go on and think about it, Barry.
Oh, carpool tunnel. That's really clever.
You got it. A reminder that breaks and stretching are super important.
All right. And it sounds like the phones are ringing off the hook. We've got one more item for you tonight.
That's right, and it's the best one yet. It's your very own doorway to Pandemonium.
Oh my, that sounds scary.
Nonsense. Pandemonium's a fun place. Here, I'll show you. Barry, I don't...
Terry, you okay? Folks, something's wrong with Terry.
Embrace Pandemonium.
Cut the cameras!
Whoops. Looks like we've hit our own case of writer's block. That's all from this week's edition of the Writer Home Shopping Network. Thanks for tuning in. All right, and we're back. So this week I'm going to flip the script a bit. We'll go through 3 stories from each bracket of the challenge, but this time we're going to start with 3 stories randomly selected from the unranked bracket, and then I'll move into lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight accordingly. I'll also be shouting out the top 5 authors in each bracket as of the middle of the month, and you can find a link in the show notes to see those leaderboards, including links on Scriptorum. All right, and as with all of my shoutouts, each one will also include my thoughts on the story and, of course, a narrated excerpt. And with that all out of the way, let's dive in, beginning with some stories from the unranked bracket. First up in our unranked shoutouts this week is Melody Beneath Concrete by Ira Linden. This was for the day 11 prompt, which asked for a piece inspired by music track. Ira chose the track Teardrop by Massive Attack. I love the soothing yet catchy rhythm of the song here. The vocals are soft but emotional as well. It sets a very nice tone for the story ahead. And the story's opening is great too. We get a nice burst of mystery and intrigue before the author sets the stage and establishes some excellent atmosphere with lovely imagery to boot. We're in a radio station when suddenly the audio cuts, replaced by 3 piano notes. It's a simple setup, but things quickly begin to spiral as more and more layers of the mystery are revealed. I dare not spoil all of it here because this is a very cool story and a really unique premise. It had me on the edge of my seat the entire time, and I loved how the story pulled the scope out to give us answers at a global level before zooming back in at the end for a very personal conclusion. And the writing itself also deserves praise. This is beautifully poetic and wonderfully paced. Let's check out an excerpt. Outside, the city carried on in miniature rituals. Taxis sliding through wet streets, night buses sighing at empty stops, windows glowing aquarium blue in tower blocks where insomniacs stared silently into the machinery of modern life. Glasgow, after midnight, always looked less like a city, more like a system left running accidentally. Then the audio cut. Not silence. Something stranger. 3 piano notes drifted through the studio speakers. Soft, slow, deliberate. Followed by a pause that somehow felt larger than the notes themselves. Then the same 3 notes returned. Tom looked up immediately, not confused, alarmed. "That's not our feed," he said quietly. The melody repeated again. 3 notes. Pause. 3 again. There are sounds that humans process logically. Fire alarms, engines, footsteps in gravel. Then there are sounds that bypass language entirely and travel directly into older parts of the nervous system. This belonged to the second category. The melody felt less like hearing and more like remembering something your body had been attempting to forget for decades. Incredible. Great atmosphere in that excerpt there. Next up is a 2-part shout-out for this week's Kira prompt. First, we'll look at The Muses by Hazel Allen, and then I'll compare that to J.M. Gooding's response to his own prompt since it came from him and Kira. I like to see how these Kira prompts can come out with different interpretations. So let's start with Hazel's entry for Day 13. Hazel said this is loosely based on the prompt and is not a continuation of their first Kira prompt, which is totally fine. I still think Hazel captured the essence of what J.M. Gooding was going for here, though. This poem perfectly describes the dissonance we feel when we get stuck. It's sort of like writer's block, but I see this more as what happens when we become disconnected from our inspiration, or in this case, our muses. The poem describes difficulty communicating with them, how they want to help, but they don't know how. So they pour their emotions into the page, and in that desperate attempt to fix things, they discover the true issue. It's powerful stuff. Let's check out an excerpt. Poring over the sounds, the noises. There's something I cannot help but consider, just as the voice begins to falter. Maybe, just maybe, this has to do with... No, that cannot be. Just no. But as the next night arrives, no voice arrives to plead its urgency. Instead of relief, only grief comes. To my aid, absorbing each ounce of the quiet with melancholy. I let myself stir from sleep, take a pen and put ink to paper, writing furiously to collect my thoughts, pouring my emotions into its canvas, desperately for a way to save the voices. Good stuff. Now, next, let's take a look at J.M. Gooding's story for the second Kira prompt this week. His piece was titled, My Muse Abandoned Me and I Returned to Splatterpunk Roots. Have I mentioned I love J.M.'s titles? Much like my Pandemonium story this month, I love how J.M. continued to lean into meta storytelling here. I'd highly recommend reading his other Kira stories for the same reason. With this one, he turns the focus on himself, examining one of his other stories for the event that leaned into body horror. I love how this story stands on its own, though, and it acts as a self-reflection of his work and who he is as a writer, through the lens of the muse Kira, of course. It's a brilliant use of meta-storytelling, and I think it pairs wonderfully with Hazel's entry because it shows just how flexible these Kira prompts can truly be. Let's check out an excerpt from J.M. Gooding's entry. She's holding several sheets of paper in one hand. More importantly, she is not smiling. I lean back in my chair immediately, smugness arriving before caution has a chance to catch it. Ha! I say, pointing toward her with entirely too much satisfaction. I wrote without you. Her eyes lower to the pages in her hand, then they lift back toward me with a calmness that feels deeply unpromising. Yes, she says. I noticed. I grin wider, folding my hands behind my head like I've already won something. And? I ask. Pretty good, right? She doesn't answer immediately. Instead, she glides slowly across the room, wheels whispering softly against the concrete floor as the glow trails after her in dissolving ribbons of violet and gold. The papers tap lightly against her palm while she moves. Marked pages. Printed pages. Violet ink. Oh, come on, I say, the grin faltering slightly now. You brought notes? I brought concerns, she replies. We need to talk about Shimmer. She slows beside the desk and finally looks down at the manuscript again. Her expression remains composed, but there's something faintly clinical in the way she studies the pages, like a doctor preparing to examine why a test result is technically fascinating and personally alarming. That's already pretentious, I mutter. No, love, she says softly. What's on these pages is pretentious. So good. I love their interactions. And one more bonus shout out this week. As you all know, Leron Haywood has returned to once again help manage the technical aspects of the challenge this month. And not only that, but they're putting out amazing work as always for the daily prompts. For day 14's microfiction prompt, Leron did a piece called A Flight Curtailed. This was a crazy prompt because you only had 100 words to work with. And Leron did something really cool with this one because it sets the scene and then drops a huge narrative bomb in your lap by the end. The twist is exquisite. My jaw was on the floor by the end. And it's only 100 words. So instead of an excerpt, I'm going to read it all for you right now. Here is A Flight Curtailed by Leron Haywood. The rocket stood ready. Last checks underway. He worked down the list with painstaking care, all too aware of the costs of something failing. Everything green. Wait. A safety check. Flagged first launch stage too powerful? But he'd run the numbers, it doesn't... The payload was too light. His breath caught, fingers flying over the keyboard. Bring up camera feeds. Zoom in. There. Plating forced open. Metal ripped apart. It had woken up. His hand found the emergency alarm just in time, just before claws sank into his neck. As he bled out, he caught, message received, beginning orbital bombardment. So good. How good was that? Awesome work from our keeper of the scores, as I like to call them. All right, and one more shout out here for the Unranked bracket. Yes, I know this is more than 3, but we've got a lot of authors in the Unranked bracket, and I want to feature as many as I can. So, of course, it wouldn't be a Bradley Ramsey writing challenge without some kind of discussion about the great Mary Ellen Brady's work, now would it? So, I wanted to shout out Mary Ellen's story for the microfiction prompt as well, which was called Limited Bandwidth. I saw several people talking about this one, and of course, I'll read the entire thing here again because it is only 100 words. It's a cool piece with some nice inclusion of scientific terminology and beautiful atmosphere. A testament to what can be done in just 100 words. Let's check it out. Here is Limited Bandwidth by Mary Ellen Brady. Europa mission, day 211. I'm alone at the cupola window. Something moves on the surface. Purposeful. 17 points of light, equidistant, holding formation at approximately 400 meters. I run the math 3 times. The computer runs it 2 more. Houston, I have a situation. Static. Transmission delay is 52 minutes anyway. 17 lights. Patient. Waiting. I press my palm against the glass. Stupid, I know. Like that means anything through 4 inches of polycarbonate. 1 light drifted closer. Toward me. I didn't report it. Beautiful work. All right, now it's time to dive into the top stories from each of our scoring brackets. So the way this will work is I'm going to go from 3rd to 1st based on which stories scored highest on their own in week 2. Then I'll give you a look at the top 5 authors in each bracket as we go based on their total score. So first we'll look at individuals performing stories from week 2, followed by a look at the mid-month leaderboard overall and who's in the lead. All right, now coming in at 3rd place in the lightweight bracket this week with 14 points, it's Me Times 3 by Daria. This is for J.M. Gooding's second Kira prompt, and it looks at 3 different muses that make up Daria's inspiration. The first is her as a teenager, the second is her as a child, and the third is the adult version of her. I really like this take on the prompt. I would agree that there are several versions of me, if I think about it, that inspired my writing as well over the years. And they just take the form of characters on the podcast in my case. But for example, Finton Marybrook, of course, is a recent creation of mine in the last 5 years, but my rendition of Arnold with all of his jokes about cooking dates back to high school in my friend group there. So I've been doing that plus the Gollum voice, for example, even earlier on back in middle school. So Daria's take on the prompt here, though, is a fun and wholesome look at how these versions of her have inspired and informed her work. Let's check out an excerpt. Then there's my third muse, the adult version of me, the one with the knowledge and experience staring me down. She's the one spouting off facts and doing the research. She's the one connecting the dots and slowly disentangling the threads to see where they come and go. She's the one with time and wisdom on her side, but not by much. She's the one who puts the feelings of the teenager into context. She's the one who harnesses the enthusiasm of the child. She's more direct, but just as passionate as the other muses. She's my body double, though her dark curls stay curly, unlike real me, and I'm still salty about that. You see the curls? You see the backpack straps? That bitch knows what she's doing. All 3 can't let ideas go. Whether they are holding up the caught butterfly in a net, or screaming at me to put the truth into words, or spouting facts, it's all her demanding the words be told. Good stuff, I love that. In second place, with a score of 18 points on the lightweight leaderboard, it's Waiting on Nothing by Lila Cave Park. This is for Day 11's prompt, which asks you to write something inspired by a music track. This piece also features art from the author, and I gotta say, I love this entire poem from minute 1. It makes a great first impression with its art, and then the poem itself feels crushing yet hopeful at the same time. Each line is packed with emotion, but it's the way that it flows together that makes this read like a letter sent through time and space. And it sort of is in that regard. It's a message to someone who's gone, but it's such a heartfelt and beautiful one that it feels like it's using music as the medium to cross that gap. I really love this. It's one of my favorite poems that I've read this month, so let's check out an excerpt. Tonight I decided I'll listen to the songs that seem to matter to you at the end. I think of what's happened, new songs you might have listened to. Or did you already get to hear it all on the other side of time? Did it continue to be from where your inspiration drew? Thick black lines that painted across edges, mapped from me to you. That darkness never left you, did it? It was the same from the start. Did you give it to me? Or did I too carry it with me, perfecting the art? If I found one more thing from you, because of you, my heart would hold my breath. Let me take you along, show you what made me miss you, think of you like I could never reach you. Which words ring true when our daydream is nothing new? Gosh, so good. I just love it. It has like an ethereal feel to it. It's an incredible poem. Please check it out. Remember, you can find links to all these in the show notes. And finally, in first place for week 2 on the lightweight leaderboard, with 38 points as of May 15th, it's The Downward Spiral by M. Brandon Robbins. And this is really great work here. Not only did this poem earn 38 points, as I mentioned, but this author is currently our top contender for the month so far in the lightweight bracket. Jumping into this, I'm not surprised that this piece is number 1. It combines math with literature, using the Fibonacci sequence in reverse to dictate the number of syllables in each stanza. Let me tell you, that is capital B brilliant. Really damn cool. And of course, being that this is for Day 11's prompt, the piece is also inspired by the track The Downward Spiral by 9 Inch Nails. The rhythm and structure here works really well. It feels like the poem itself is spiraling downwards towards chaos and death, with some really spectacular word choice throughout as well. I'm really impressed by this one. The combination of craft and creativity is truly off the charts. Let's check out an excerpt. Death and rebirth. Constantly unending cycle circular. Immortal yet still mortal. Still finite. Still with limits. With cessation. Nothing guaranteed. No promises kept. Nothing sacred. All is hollow. All is empty. A vast nothing. A void. A black hole. The uncaring sky. We are not but dust and dirt and ash. tears lost in the rainfall, the dead among the dead. Amazing. And remember, check the show notes for links to all these, and of course, a link to the mid-month leaderboard over on Scriptorum, where you can see who's in the lead. Right now, M. Brandon Robbins is in first place for the month, followed by Daria, Albert Kivak, Anton Anderson, and Lila Cave Park in 5th place. Congratulations to all of you. Next up is our middleweight bracket, and in week 2 here, we saw some new faces show up with some truly high-performing entries. We'll go in reverse order, and I'll reveal the overall leaders for the month in this bracket at the end of this segment. Our 3rd place story for week 2's middleweight bracket with a score of 31 points is Dig Down to the Core by Sarah Tinney. This was for day 12's prompt about miners who discover something buried beneath the earth. Sarah took a really cool approach here and wrote a folk song for the prompt. Therefore, her entry has lyrics, which is just insanely cool. You can feel the rhythm of the song as well when you're reading, and I love the use of italics for the chorus every time it comes back in. Let's check out an excerpt. Late one night we struck some gold, more riches than we could behold. Dig down to the core. We cleared the caverns of its stores. But one man ventured to find more. Dig down to the core. He never returned from that cavern, and rumors spread around the tavern. Dig down to the core. Hoist the pick, strike it true. Dig for gold and jewels galore. Hoist the pick, strike it true. Dig down to the core. More went down, the lure was strong, but none came back into the throng. Even just reading it like that, it's really fun. Love to see this turn into a song at some point. It's fantastic work from Sarah. In 2nd place on the week 2 middleweight leaderboard with a score of 34 points, it's All the Time to Spare by Jeremy. This was our microfiction prompt, a story for that one, and it's Jeremy's first entry into the challenge. It earns 2nd place this week on its own with a score of 34 points. And yeah, I can see why this one did so well. Jeremy offers up a piece that talks about drowning, only to flip the script and show you that you're not reading from the perspective of the person drowning. Instead, you're the thing that drowns others. It's chilling stuff, and since it's only 100 words, like our other microfiction pieces, for this prompt, I'm going to read it for you right now. Here's All the Time to Spare by Jeremy. No one prepares you for what comes after drowning. There are aspects you can imagine that torture you. The weight in your lungs, the burning of your throat. There are aspects you become accustomed to, the cold in your limbs, constant, no matter how much you tread water. And treading water is all you do, unless you want to become a bottom feeder, one of those ghosts resigned to sinking, to becoming a feast for crabs. So you wait, tread water, and wait for the next swimmer. Yours to grab, drag under, hold tight for that momentary flicker of warmth in the icy grip of the oceanic abyss. What an ending. Phenomenal work from Jeremy here. I love this one. All right, and in first place for week 2 with a score of 44 points, it's Vaya Con Me by Namita Call. This is for day 11's prompt, asking for a piece inspired by music. Here, Namita chose a song composed and performed by the Italian artist Paolo Conte, who just so happens to be a lawyer and artist like her. I love the song choice here too, and the poem is one of Namita's best. It mimics the style and rhythm of the song while also leveraging some really nice word choice that makes each line leap off the page. It's catchy, it's earnest, and it's beautifully written. Let's check out an excerpt. Come away with me. Let's find each other again. The world won't disappear or stop expecting any less. We dive into the wonderful together, like once we had decided to walk past ourselves and create a sanctuary of forever. Come away with me. The follies we breed haven't found an escape as sweet as the kiss that brings us peace. We keep circling the prosaic manner of our loving, the stripping of us that wasn't nearly ready. I love that one. All right, great week 2 entry so far, and checking in on the mid-month leaderboard for the middleweight bracket, which you can also find at the Scriptorum link in the show notes. Our top authors right now for the middleweight leaderboard as of May 15th are Namita Call in first place, Sarah Tinney in second, Richard Pack in third, Bradley Hurt in fourth, and Daniel Coates in fifth. Congratulations to all who have made the leaderboard. And now, for our heavyweight leaderboard. Once more, we'll start with the top 3 performing stories, and then I'll share the current ranking as of the middle of the month at the end. In third place for the heavyweight leaderboard of week 2 with a score of 47 points, it's The Grief Buffet by Rebecca Watson. Now, I love this piece. Rebecca's writing distills the essence of emotion into everything she does. Her stories haunt the depths of your soul as a reader by forcing you to face things that make you human. And with this piece, for Day 8's prompt, we're taken to the Green Swan Casino, a place that serves dishes composed of emotions and concepts like heartbreak, despair, nostalgia, or the feeling of a first love. So right off the bat, that means Lord Devereaux and the Viscount would really love this place. And don't worry, I did tell them about it. They're trying to get a reservation, but it's pretty booked. Now I'm sure Rebecca can pull some strings down the road for them, and she will. But Rebecca takes this concept and runs with it in the meantime. This story explores the manifestation of these dishes in rich, beautiful detail. The imagery here is a standout element, but the dialogue and the character development is amazing as well. Let's check out a quick excerpt. Every Thursday night, beneath the flickering ribs of the Green Swan Casino, the dead arrived, starving. They stepped from black town cars wrapped in velvet coats and funeral perfume, their mouths smiling too widely, their shadows arriving several seconds late behind them. The living were forbidden entry, not for safety reasons, for inventory reasons. Tabitha tightened her gloves and crossed the dining room floor, carrying a silver tray of freshly peeled embarrassment. The dish trembled gently in its bowl, pink and wet as an exposed organ.
"Table 4!"
barked the chef. "Which one?"
"The widow with the birdcage veil. Says her humiliation isn't fresh enough."
Tabitha nodded. Nothing was ever fresh enough for the wealthy dead. The casino breathed around her in slow, mechanical wheezes. Chandeliers buzzed overhead like trapped insects. Somewhere near the roulette tables, a jazz singer crooned into the mouth of a microphone shaped suspiciously like a femur. The Green Swan specialized in emotional cuisine, not metaphorically. Real grief, real longing, real terror. Harvested, prepared, plated. A man at table 7 sliced into a roasted panic attack with surgical precision, while his date dabbed orphan tears onto crackers. Nearby, 3 socialites shared a sample platter of adolescent shame and collectively moaned after the first bite. Tastes divorced, one whispered approvingly. Tabitha hated Thursdays, not because of the clientele, because she could smell everything. Despair smelled metallic. Nostalgia smelled like wet paper. First love carried notes of cigarette smoke and oranges. And loneliness smelled warm, like someone had just stood up from a chair. "Tabitha," she turned toward the voice. Chef Corbeau stood in the kitchen doorway, tall and corpse-thin beneath blood-stained linen. His mustache resembled 2 dying moths attempting a duel.
"VIP request,"
he said. "That usually means trouble."
"That usually means tips."
He handed her a black menu with no writing on it. "Private dining." Tabitha felt her stomach tighten. "Who is it?" Corbeau lowered his voice.
"He asked for the extinct menu."
Silence. Even the kitchen seemed to recoil. "The extinct menu?" she repeated.
"He insists."
"That hasn't been served in years."
"I'm aware."
"Who is he?" Corbeau glanced toward the staircase leading below the casino.
"Hungry."
That was all. Not a name, not a title, just hungry. Which, in the Green Swan, meant dangerous. So good. I had to pick out an extended excerpt because I just wanted to show you how the imagery and the dialogue and the characters here all fit together so beautifully. I love this story. Absolutely amazing. Coming in at second place with a score of 92 points for the Week 2 Heavyweight Leaderboard, it's My Fairy Muse by Verdant Butterfly. This was for the second Cure prompt as well, and it's a poem. It's a beautiful poem about how her mother opened her mind to the magic of stories and storytelling, which of course introduced her to her true muse, a fairy in this case. As with all of Verdant Butterfly's poetry, this one carries that same magic and whimsy that she's become known for, and that fairy muse of hers is coming in clutch once again with this piece. I love the visuals and description as well here, such as how the fairy has, quote, owl-bright and watchful eyes. Let's check out an excerpt so you can see what I mean. And somewhere in those tail-spun hours, Half dreaming in my bed, a fairy slipped from out the dark and settled in my head. She has owl-bright and watchful eyes, soft moss within her hair, and whispers odd and lovely things that dance and drift through air. She never speaks in thunderclaps or grand prophetic flame. She hides inside unfinished thoughts before their given name. She leaves ideas soaked in tea or tucked in shower steam, then vanishes for days on end to echo in my dream. Yes! Man, Burning Butterfly's poetry, I mean, if you've been listening to the show for a while, you know I featured her work a bunch, but whenever she does poetry, I mean, you cannot beat that flow, that rhythm. I mean, it's so easy to narrate in the best way possible because those rhymes just tie in beautifully with the rest of the imagery. I mean, I just love it. I just love it. She's a truly talented poet, and I love this piece. Fantastic work. And in first place on the Week 2 Heavyweight Leaderboard with 123 points as of this writing, it's Gary L. Taylor with Ship Comes In Every Day. This is a story for Day 11's music-based prompt, and the track Gary chose here is 100 Days by Mark Lanigan. The track here is relaxing, reflective, and it has some nice vocals as well. It sets a good atmosphere and tone for the poem, not story, sorry, that Gary wrote. And speaking of the poem, I love how this piece that Gary created has a similar atmosphere to the music as well. The poem itself discusses themes of feeling stuck, of struggling through life, of turning to alcohol and other vices to get through the day. It's heavy, but it's authentic, and it's something that I can relate to as well. The metaphor of the ships coming but none of them being his also really hits home. I loved the ending also because it adds this little dash of hope and says that one day I'll work this out. One day I'll be something good. I just love the honesty that comes through in the writing here. It's really relatable stuff. Let's check out an excerpt. My father used to say, "One day my ship will come in." I don't know what that means. Still don't, really. I walk through the streets sometimes, sit on the stone seats, staining my jeans with the moss that grows over them. I look out into the docks, as busy as they ever were. They give my family work. I see ships come in every day. None of them are mine. I have days where I feel clear, my mind clean and focused. Then the same old poison finds its way back to me. A boomerang, crafted from defeat, despair, and failure. It all goes black. I wake up. 3 days have passed. Amazing work. Gary continues to be an absolute juggernaut this challenge. And speaking of, let's take a look at the mid-month heavyweight leaderboard. This ranking is based on total scores so far, so these are the riders in the running right now to take home the grand prize at the end of the month. In first place, we have, of course, Gary L. Taylor. In second, Verdant Butterfly. In third, Mina Howell. In fourth, Bent But True. And in fifth place, as of the middle of the month, it's Ian Taniel's House of Chapters. We still have another 2 weeks to go. The final leaderboard will be revealed when the challenge ends. And remember, the winners in each bracket at the end of the month will get a special interview right here on the Save This Draft podcast, including the opportunity for you in the community to submit questions. So it's a great prize, and the one that you voted for when I put out the poll at the beginning of this month. All right, and incredible work again just from everyone this week. Next up, we'll take a look at my novel updates and get a glimpse of what week 3 of the challenge may hold. But first, a quick mindful moment. Hey there. This is Chill Bradley, here with this week's mindful moment. Here's a quote to consider. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. I love this quote because it's another reminder of the power that communities hold for changing the world for the better. Sometimes, I like to take a step back and just really think about how far we've come as a community. I mean, I've only been here for a year and some change on Substack, and we're already a community of over 2,000 writers that continues to grow every day. That number goes way up too if you consider followers as well. And the best part is that you're all here to share and celebrate creativity. I love that about us. We support each other, we lift up each other's work, and we make this world a little better every time we hit that publish button. So, whether you joined recently or you've been here since the beginning, I just want to take a moment to thank you all for being here. And next time you feel imposter syndrome or despair encroaching, just remember you are surrounded by creatives who care about you and your work, myself included. Thanks for listening. Back to the show. All right, and we're back. Time for a look at my novel and next week on Substack. So, due to the ongoing issues with my house, I have been barely surviving lately. I'm just trying to juggle everything, and I gotta be honest with you, it is exhausting. So, I don't have a ton of novel progress to share, but I'm developing a sustainable schedule that I'll start in June after the challenge, and I'm thinking that this will finally crack the code to enable some steady progress on this book. Now, for those unaware, I've been trying to write this novel for 10 years now, so we're really getting creative to get this thing done. And really, the issue at the core of everything is that I'm just too darn busy, which, as you all know, comes as no surprise. Part of the problem, too, is that I'm also in the middle of a Devine series here on Substack, The Order of the Pawn, which I know has a lot of fans and a lot of people eager to see it return. So that's essentially another book that I'm writing simultaneously. Now, one thing I've seen some authors do is post chapters of their in-progress novels for paid subscribers as a way to get it out there and gather some early feedback without giving away the actual book, right? So I want to submit this manuscript, this cosmic horror manuscript of mine, to agents and try to go through the query trenches, as it were. So for that reason, I don't want to post the drafts publicly, but I am thinking about possibly posting them for paid subscribers as a way to kind of hold myself accountable and to have them on a schedule. So one idea that I've had that I'm mixing around in my head here is to alternate. So right now, outside of challenges, the Devine series gets a new chapter every 2 weeks. Now here's what I'm thinking. What if we do a new Devine chapter every 2 weeks, and then the following 2 weeks, I'm owed a new chapter of the cosmic horror novel, kind of alternate, and then 2 weeks later we go back to Devine, rinse and repeat until both projects are done. I like that idea, but if you have any experience writing and posting novel drafts like the way I'm describing, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments of the episode. I just want to make sure that this novel that I'm writing is viable for querying when the time comes. So, and I'm also not against going the self-publishing route if it doesn't work out. But in the meantime, like I said, I don't want to put out all the drafts publicly. So I'm thinking this might be a good way to hold myself accountable. But honestly, I haven't decided. So if you have any thoughts, please weigh in the comments. All right. And now let's talk about next week on Substack. We've just started week 3 of the Halls of Pandemonium challenge. And as I mentioned the other day, you all successfully completed week 2's community objective. That was, of course, total of 3,000 engagement points based across likes, comments, and restacks across every entry in week 2. So anytime you engaged with week 2's entries, you contributed to that goal as a community. And we did it. We hit it in time for the deadline, which means I owe all of you a bonus prompt worth 1.5x points, meaning it'll be worth more than normal. Given that weekends in general are slower on Substack, let me just say you can probably expect this bonus prompt around Monday or so, but I can't tell you what time it may drop because, chaos, pandemonium, all that. Once it drops, it will be open for a limited time, and any entries that submit to that bonus prompt will get the bonus score points as well if you're competing. I'll share more details once it's out in my subscriber chat, and I'll post it in the notes feed as well. In the meantime, we move forward with the daily prompts over the weekend here, and of course, the story of Pandemonium continues. And here's hoping my personal life finally gives me a chance to breathe this coming week. We'll see, but I could really use it. In the meantime, thank you again for being here. As always, my friends, I'm excited to see what the next week of the challenge holds, and I hope you're all enjoying the prompts that I've got coming your way. This is Bradley Ramsey, signing off. Lord Devereux, we came as soon as we could. What happened?
Wait, how do I know you're the real Finton?
What are you talking about? It's me.
A group of imposters from Pandemonium just kidnapped Bradley. They looked like all of you.
That's impossible. Nobody has these muscles. Yeah, I'd like to think we have a certain je ne sais quoi that can't be replicated.
It was probably those stinky little hobbitses. Finton, say something that proves it's the real you.
Very well. Well, since Bradley isn't here, I'll say that While I enjoy poking fun at him in his work, he's actually a pretty decent writer, if I'm being honest. Don't tell him I said that, though.
Ah, good. It is you. Very well, then. We need to formulate a plan. The Viscount should be back soon. In the meantime, we'll get started.
Time to start Operation Get Bradley to the Chopper!
No! We should call it Operation Get Bradley Fishies!
Hey, that's not a bad name. Enough, all of you. We'll figure out the name later. In the meantime, we have a writer to save.